Think of the plaque inside your arteries like dried cement. Once it hardens, drinking more water, eating a clove of garlic, or taking a generic daily multivitamin isn't going to wash it away. You cannot flush concrete with a garden hose. If you are watching this, there is a high probability you or someone you love are currently taking statins to manage cholesterol. And let me be clear, statins have their place in modern medicine. But here is the uncomfortable truth that often gets left out of the 15-minute doctor visit. Statins are primarily designed to stop new cholesterol from forming. But what about the calcified cement that is already there? What about the blockage that has been building up since you were 40? Most standard medications do almost nothing to dissolve the fibrin mesh that holds that old plaque together. They treat the smoke, but they leave the fire burning. To actually clear your arteries, you don't just need to lower your cholesterol numbers. You need a biological solvent. You need a specific enzyme that hunts down and breaks the fibrin mesh, the sticky web that traps fat and calcium in your blood vessels. In the next few minutes, I am going to reveal the #1 enzyme, backed by decades of Japanese cardiovascular research, that acts as a natural pipe cleaner for your circulatory system. It is not omega-3, it is not garlic, and it is not niacin. I am also going to explain the critical partner nutrient you must take with it. This is the step most people miss. If you take this enzyme alone, you might accidentally move calcium from your arteries to your kidneys, causing stones. You need the second key to unlock the door properly. And, perhaps most importantly, I will tell you the one group of people who must never take this supplement without strict medical supervision. If you are on blood thinners, this section could save your life. To understand the solution, we first have to understand the enemy. Why do arteries clog in the first place? For decades, we have been told a very simple story, that your arteries are like kitchen pipes, and eating saturated fat is like pouring hot grease down the drain. We are told that eventually, the grease cools, hardens, and clogs the pipe. But that is a gross oversimplification. The process of atherosclerosis, the hardening of the arteries, is much more violent and complex than that. It doesn't start with fat, it starts with injury. Imagine the inner lining of your arteries, called the endothelium. It is supposed to be smooth, silk-like, and frictionless, like Teflon. But factors like high blood pressure, high glucose levels from sugar, toxins from smoking, or chronic stress cause microscopic tears in this delicate lining. Your body sees this tear and panics. It thinks you are bleeding to death internally. So it rushes to patch the hole. It creates a scab. To build this scab, your body produces a sticky fibrous protein called fibrin. You have seen fibrin before. When you cut your finger while cooking, the blood clots and dries into a hard protective layer. That is fibrin. It acts like a steel mesh or a spider web. Its job is to catch things to plug the hole. Inside your arteries, this fibrin web catches whatever is floating by. It catches red blood cells. It catches LDL cholesterol. It catches calcium. Over time, this mixture hardens into a rock. This is what we call plaque. Here is the crucial distinction that changes everything. The cholesterol is just the filling. The fibrin is the glue. Most treatments focus on the butter. They want to lower the grease. But they ignore the rock. They ignore the fibrin glue that is holding the rock together. If you want to restore circulation, you have to dissolve the glue. Now here is the bad news. When you were 20 years old, your body produced its own potent enzymes to dissolve excess fibrin. That is why 20-year-olds rarely have heart attacks. Your body had a perfect balance between clotting, to stop bleeding, and dissolving, to keep blood flowing. But by the time you reach 50 or 60, your body's natural ability to dissolve this glue drops significantly. You are producing the plaque, the scabs, but you have lost the tool to clean them up. We call this state hypercoagulation. Your blood is too thick and your scabs are becoming permanent. So, how do we get that tool back? To answer that, we have to look at the only population in the world that seems to have figured this out. For years, researchers were baffled by the Japanese paradox. Japan has some of the highest rates of smoking in the developed world, and high stress levels in their bustling cities, yet they have one of the lowest rates of heart disease on the planet. They live longer, healthier lives with fewer strokes and heart attacks compared to the West. When scientists looked at their diet to find the secret, they found a sticky, fermented soybean dish that has been eaten for over 1,000 years. It is called natto. Now let's be honest, natto is an acquired taste. It smells strong, somewhat like old cheese or dirty socks, and it has a slimy, stringy texture. Most people outside of Japan cannot stomach eating it. But hidden inside those sticky strings is a powerful enzyme that might just be the holy grail of cardiovascular health. In 1980, a researcher named Dr. Hiroyuki Sumi, who is now often called Dr. Natto, was searching for a natural agent that could dissolve blood clots. He was working at Chicago University Medical School, testing nearly 200 different foods and medicinal substances. He would put artificial blood clots in Petri dishes and apply these different substances to see what would happen. Nothing worked effectively. The clots remained stubborn. Until on a whim, he remembered the traditional Japanese breakfast. He took some natto, extracted the sticky enzyme, and placed a drop of it onto the blood clot in the Petri dish. He expected it to take days to work, if it worked at all. But when he checked the microscope just 18 hours later, the blood clot had not just shrunk, it had completely dissolved. It was liquefied. Dr. Sumi had discovered an enzyme hidden inside the sticky strings of the fermented soy. He named it nattokinase, and since that day, over 50 peer-reviewed studies have confirmed its power. But before you turn off this video to go buy soybeans, listen carefully. I am not telling you to go eat a bowl of slimy, fermented natto. Because natto is a food, it also contains vitamin K1, which actually promotes clotting. You do not want that if you are trying to thin your blood. The scientific breakthrough is that we can now extract just the enzyme, nattokinase, and put it into a capsule, removing the vitamin K1 and the bad taste. So, what happens physiologically when you swallow this enzyme? Nattokinase is what we call proteolytic. That means it eats protein. Specifically, it loves to eat fibrin. When you take nattokinase on an empty stomach, it is absorbed into your bloodstream. It floats through your vessels until it finds that excess fibrin mesh, the glue we talked about earlier. It gently degrades the fibrin, effectively dissolving the glue holding the plaque together. It's like pouring a safe, biological drain cleaner into your pipes. It doesn't force the clog open. It dissolves the debris that caused the clog in the first place. A study in the journal Scientific Reports proved that a single dose could degrade fibrinogen in the blood significantly within hours. It also increases your body's production of plasmin, which is your natural clot dissolver. So it works in two ways. It dissolves clots directly, and it trains your body to dissolve them naturally. But wait, this is not a magic bullet. If you stop listening now, you are only doing 50% of the job. And honestly, this is where most people fail. Remember, plaque is made of two main things: fibrin, the glue, and calcium, the rock. We have discussed how to dissolve the glue. Now, we must discuss the rock. This leads us to the calcium paradox. As we age, many of us suffer from osteoporosis. Our bones become weak and brittle because they are losing calcium. But at the same time, we suffer from arteriosclerosis. Our arteries become hard and calcified because they are gaining calcium. Think about that for a second. It is a cruel irony. The calcium is leaving your bones where you need it and moving into your arteries where you don't need it. You are literally turning your heart valves into stone while your skeleton becomes fragile. Nattokinase can dissolve the fibrin glue, but it cannot move the calcium rock. If you dissolve the glue but leave the calcium floating around, it might just settle somewhere else, like your kidneys, causing painful kidney stones, or your joints, causing arthritis or bone spurs. You need a traffic cop to tell that calcium where to go. Enter vitamin K2, specifically the MK7 form. Most people take vitamin D3 and they think they are doing the right thing for their bones, and they are, to a point. Vitamin D3 acts like a doorman. It opens the door to let calcium from your food into your blood. But D3 does not tell the calcium where to go once it is inside. If you take vitamin D without vitamin K2, you are flooding your system with calcium that has no direction. It ends up depositing in the soft tissues of your heart. That is the job of vitamin K2. Vitamin K2 activates a specific protein in your body called Matrix GLA Protein, or MGP. Think of MGP as a little claw machine that lives in your arteries. Its only job is to grab calcium and stop it from sticking to the walls. But here is the catch: MGP is vitamin K dependent. If you don't have enough vitamin K2 in your system, MGP stays asleep. It remains inactive. The calcium floats by, ignores the bone, and sticks to your heart valve. The science backs this up powerfully. The famous Rotterdam study, which is one of the landmark studies in nutrition, followed 4,800 people for 10 years. They tracked their diet and their health outcomes. They found that those with the highest intake of vitamin K2 had a 57% lower risk of dying from heart disease compared to those with the lowest intake. 57%. There is almost no drug on Earth that can claim a 57% reduction in mortality. And yet, this nutrient is almost entirely missing from the modern Western diet because we no longer eat organ meats or fermented foods. So, this is the ultimate 1-2 punch for senior heart health. Nattokinase dissolves the fibrin glue, loosening the plaque. Vitamin K2 moves the calcium out of the arteries and puts it back into the bones where it belongs. They are the Batman and Robin of arterial cleansing. You need both to fully reverse the process of calcification. But we can go one step further. We are breaking down the glue, and we are moving the calcium. But there is one more step to make this truly effective. We need to widen the tunnel. Imagine your arteries are garden hoses. If they are stiff and narrow, pressure builds up, and the heart has to pump harder. We need to relax the hose. The molecule responsible for this is nitric oxide. You may have heard that you can boost nitric oxide by eating beets, arugula, and spinach, and that is true. But here is the secret that nobody tells you. You might be destroying your heart health with your mouthwash. This sounds crazy, right? What does mouthwash have to do with your heart? The process of creating nitric oxide starts on your tongue. The beneficial bacteria in your mouth are responsible for converting the nitrates in your food into nitrites. You then swallow these nitrites, and your stomach acid converts them into nitric oxide, which enters your blood and relaxes your arteries. It is a symbiotic relationship between you and your bacteria. However, if you use a strong alcohol-based antiseptic mouthwash, the kind that burns and claims to kill 99% of germs, you are nuking the good guys. You are killing the specific bacteria that help regulate your blood pressure. You are severing the first link in the chain. A study published in the journal Free Radical Biology and Medicine confirmed that using antiseptic mouthwash can spike blood pressure because it stops nitric oxide production effectively immediately. So, Step 3 of the protocol isn't a pill, it's a behavior change. Stop sterilizing your mouth, switch to a non-antiseptic mouthwash, or use coconut oil pulling, or simply brush and floss. Let your microbiome do its job. Now, let's get practical. How do you actually take this? If you walk into a health food store or look on Amazon, you will see dozens of bottles. It is confusing, and a lot of them are junk. Here are the 3 criteria you need to follow to ensure you aren't wasting your money. Criterion number 1 is potency. Nattokinase is not measured in milligrams. It is measured in fibrinolytic units, or FU. This measures the activity of the enzyme, how much fibrin it can actually dissolve. If you see a bottle that says 100 milliliter but doesn't list the FU, put it back. You want to see FU clearly listed on the supplement facts panel. The standard therapeutic dose used in most human studies is 2,000 FU per day. Some advanced protocols for people with significant calcification go up to 4,000 FU, taking 2,000 in the morning and 2,000 at night. But 2,000 is the safe, standard starting point for maintenance. Criterion number 2 is timing. This is where 90% of people get it wrong. Nattokinase is an enzyme. If you take it with a meal, let's say you take it with a steak dinner, the enzyme will get distracted. It is a protein eater. It will digest the protein in your steak instead of the plaque in your arteries. It will act just like a digestive enzyme. To get it into your bloodstream where it can work on your heart, you must take it on an empty stomach. This means at least 1 hour before food or 2 hours after food. Personally, I recommend taking it right before bed. Why? Because physiology tells us that heart attacks and strokes are statistically most likely to happen in the early morning hours, around 3 Gauss a.m. to 6 Gauss a.m. This is when your blood is naturally thickest, slowest, and most prone to clotting. Taking nattokinase before bed provides protection while you sleep and ensures your stomach is empty, so absorption is maximized. Criterion number 3 is the partner, vitamin K2. For vitamin K2, look for the MK7 form, menaquinone 7. There is another form called MK4, which is synthetic and has a very short half-life. MK7 is natural, derived from fermentation, and stays in your blood for 72 hours, providing constant protection. The effective dose is usually 100 to 200 micrograms per day. Unlike nattokinase, vitamin K2 is fat-soluble, so do not take it on an empty stomach. Take your K2 with your dinner, which should contain some healthy fats like olive oil, avocado, or fish, and then take your nattokinase right before bed. This splits them up perfectly. Now, we need to have a serious conversation. Because nattokinase is so effective at thinning the blood and dissolving clots, it is powerful medicine. And for some of you watching, it could be dangerous. Natural does not always mean safe for everyone. Snake venom is natural, but you don't want it in your blood. Nattokinase is a tool, and you must respect it. Warning. Number 1. Blood thinners. If you are already taking prescription blood thinners like warfarin, Coumadin, heparin, Plavix, Xarelto, or even a daily high-dose aspirin therapy, do not start taking nattokinase without your doctor's explicit permission and supervision. Why? Because nattokinase thins the blood naturally. The drug thins the blood chemically. If you combine them, your blood can become too thin, like water. This increases the risk of internal bleeding, bruising, or even a hemorrhagic stroke. It is a stacking effect that can be dangerous. Your doctor may be able to lower your drug dosage to accommodate the enzyme, but do not make that decision yourself. Warning number 2. Surgery. If you have a surgery scheduled, even dental surgery or a colonoscopy, you must stop taking nattokinase at least 2 weeks beforehand. You need your blood to be able to clot during surgery to heal properly. Warning. Number 3. Low blood pressure. Because nattokinase improves blood flow and relaxes the vessels, it naturally lowers blood pressure. This is great for most people with hypertension. But if you already suffer from low blood pressure or hypotension, or if you are on high doses of blood pressure medication, this could drop your numbers too low, leading to dizziness, fainting, or fatigue. Monitor your numbers closely when you start. So, let's summarize your artery rescue plan. It is simple, but it requires consistency. First, you introduce the solvent, nattokinase at 2,000 FU, taken on an empty stomach, preferably before bed. This works to dissolve the fibrin glue. Second, you introduce the navigator, vitamin K2 as MK7, taken with your evening meal. This moves the calcium out of your arteries and into your bones. Third, you implement the safety protocol. Check with your doctor if you are on medication and stop sterilizing your mouth with harsh mouthwash. Your arteries didn't get clogged overnight. It happened over decades of inflammation, stress, and dietary choices. Therefore, they won't unclog overnight. This is a biological process, not a magic trick. It usually takes 3 to 6 months to see significant changes in calcium scores or arterial stiffness tests, but you will likely feel the difference in your circulation much sooner. Many people report warmer hands and feet, better energy levels, and less brain fog within just 30 days. But here is the catch. Even if you dissolve the plaque, and even if you move the calcium, if your liver is clogged with fat, your blood will remain thick and sludge-like, making it impossible for your heart to pump efficiently. A fatty liver is the silent engine behind high cholesterol, high blood pressure, and chronic inflammation. And you might have it without even knowing it, because it often has no pain symptoms until it is too late. I have created a specific video breaking down the 3 silent signs of a fatty liver that appear on your skin and feet, and the simple morning drink that helps flush it out. You need to watch that video next to complete your heart health journey. Click the video on your screen right now, and I will see you there.